You know, some stories start with a simple sadness, but then they curdle, they fester into something much, much darker. Today, we're going to dive into a chilling urban legend from a tiny town in Spain, a story where heartbreak and absolute horror become one and the same.
It's a question that always kind of hangs over those places that seem just a little too perfect, right? And that question, well, it leads us straight to our setting, a Spanish town that looks like it's been pulled from a postcard, but holds a terrifying secret within its quiet, sun-drenched streets.
So, let's talk about where this all goes down. We're in Salobreña, a small coastal town in Spain. I mean, picture it. It's the kind of place you dream of visiting. But as we're about to find out, some pictures, well, they hide a very dark reality.
During the day, Salobreña is exactly what you'd expect. Charming, picturesque, alive with the sound of church bells. But when the sun goes down, the whole town just changes. The streets become empty, a really strange chill settles in the air, and this deep, unsettling silence takes over everything. And this is the Salobreña where our story truly begins.
Right in the middle of all of this is a guy named Mateo Guerrero. He's just 19, an architecture student from Madrid. He's not there on vacation, he's there to study the town's old buildings. He's a man of logic, of reason. But he's about to run into something that absolutely defies all explanation.
So one afternoon, while he's sketching an old church, Mateo kind of wanders into the cemetery right next to it. And that's where he finds something weird, something that just feels out of place. It's a broken, forgotten wedding arch, standing near a grave, still draped with these withered, dead flowers. It's a strange sight for sure, but he just shrugs it off. He won't for long.
Because that night, after his little discovery in the cemetery, the strangeness of Salobreña decides it's not going to stay hidden anymore. So, Mateo's working late in his guest house room when he hears it. It's this faint sound, almost like the rustle of a heavy dress. He looks out the window into the totally empty street, and just for a second, he catches a glimpse of a white silhouette. He just rationalizes it away, though. Must be a tourist out late, an easy mistake to make.
But the next night, the sound is back, and this time it's closer. A sudden, bone-chilling draft just sweeps through his room, which is impossible on a warm summer evening. And that's when he sees them. Down on the dry stone street below, a fresh set of wet, muddy footprints, and they're leaving in only one direction, straight back towards the old cemetery.
His curiosity just gets the better of him. Mateo follows the trail. The church bells are tolling 2 a.m. as he steps into the cemetery, and there, under that exact same broken arch, he sees her. A woman in a tattered old wedding gown. Her face is covered by a veil, and her feet are floating just inches above the ground.
Absolutely terrified, Mateo just bolts, running back to the guest house and spends the rest of the night wide awake. The next morning, he confronts the old caretaker, desperate for any kind of answer. And that's when he finally learns the town's dark secret, the legend of the dead bride. The caretaker tells him this incredibly tragic story. Way back in 1889, a young woman named Isabella Romero was supposed to be married right there, near the cemetery. But her groom, Javier, he never showed up. Turns out he'd run off with another woman. Isabella waited all night long under that arch, completely heartbroken. By sunrise, she was found dead. They said the shock and grief had literally stopped her heart.
The caretaker goes on to explain that Isabella was buried right there in the cemetery. But her spirit, well, it never left. The people in town call her the corpse bride, and they say she's still waiting, forever trapped in that moment of ultimate betrayal, always searching for the groom who abandoned her.
Mateo is horrified, of course, but knowing the story doesn't stop the haunting. In fact, it's only made everything worse. The spirit is no longer just waiting in the cemetery. Now she's actively coming for him.
Desperate, Mateo goes to the local priest, who asks him one single, chilling question. Did you take anything from the cemetery? And Mateo just freezes. He remembers. He picked up a few of those withered flowers from the arch. With that one simple act, he made a terrible, terrible mistake. Isabella now thinks her groom has finally come back for her.
The priest warns him, leave town immediately. But that night, it's already too late. Mateo hears footsteps in the hall, and they stop right outside his door. A shadow falls in the crack underneath it. The air grows cold, and it gets thick with the smell of damp earth and rotting flowers.
He just watches, frozen in fear, as the doorknob slowly turns. The door creaks open, but the hallway is empty. For a split second, he gasps in relief, but it's a trap. He turns away from the empty doorway, and his eyes lock onto the window. And she's there. Her horrifying face is pressed right up against the glass, staring straight at him. So this is it, the terrifying climax. There's no more hiding, no more trying to rationalize it away. Mateo knows he has to escape Salabrena right now, or he is never going to leave at all. He is frantically just throwing his stuff into a bag, hands shaking so bad he can barely grip anything. Outside, a violent storm just breaks over the town, and the lights in his room, they start to flicker wildly, plunging him into these strobing flashes of light and deep shadow. And then they go out. Total darkness.
A brilliant, blinding flash of lightning.
And in that split second of light, he sees her. She's not at the window anymore. She's in the room, standing right in front of him. And his scream, it's the last sound he ever makes. Hearing that terrible scream, the caretaker rushes to the room and throws open the door. But it's too late. The room is totally empty. The window is shattered, and Mateo Guerrero has vanished. The search didn't take very long. Mateo's body was found just a few hours later, right back where it all started, the cemetery. He was covered in wet mud, lying directly beneath the broken wedding arch. After more than a century of waiting, the dead bride finally had her groom. It's a truly chilling end to such a tragic story, and maybe a warning about forces we just don't understand. It leaves us with one last haunting question. When a legend, born from so much grief, chooses you, is there really any escape at all?